Good day, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So today I'm going to talk about actually metadata-driven agentic AI. So right now with agentic systems and AI systems, we have this challenge around adoption and diffusion. And one of the key kind of deciding factors of how fast we can actually deploy these systems is how well an organization can provide governed and relevant context to an AI system. And metadata is central and key to that. And so I'm going to take you through a bit of a story about our approach to this, and hopefully give you some insights. So just a bit about myself. John Uiterwyk. I'm an artificial intelligence engineer, researcher, and consultant with Ab Initio. I've been a software engineer my entire life. I spent a decade doing data engineering and building data systems at scale for large, complex data ecosystems, including building and operating a petabyte scale near real-time cloud data platform for a major Australian telecommunications company. My interest in data systems grew out of some early career work with machine learning, and the realization that machine learning at scale is effectively at its core data engineering, scale data engineering with an applied research. My work leading a research engineering team several years ago, and we were investigating the application of neural network architectures for anomaly detection. It led to me diving into the transformer architecture. And subsequently, that led to my investigations in large language models and the pre-chat version of GPT-3. And when I realized what had been discovered, basically my brain exploded, and it's been my central focus since then. 2 years ago, I joined Ab Initio to help build out our AI-enabled data platform. I joined Ab Initio because it had a proven and powerful foundation data processing capability, as well as a mature set of semantic metadata management capabilities, which are both necessary ingredients to building AI systems at scale. And the other main reason why I joined Ab Initio is because of the incredible people and amazing culture within the company. It's hard to explain to people, but it's truly unique, and I'm blown away on a regular basis at the caliber of people I have the privilege of working with. So Ab Initio may be a new name to some of you. We were founded in Boston, been in business for about 30 years, have customers in 40 countries across the globe. I guarantee all of you know many of our customers. Our mission is data processing, metadata management, and AI enablement at enterprise scale. We do that with our Converged Data Platform. We're a leader in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for data integration. We've received customer choice awards for data integration and data governance recently, and that's definitely a testament to our awesome people who really are committed to helping our customers be successful and make the most of our technology. So jumping into it, this idea of a data fabric. So what I think about that is it's effectively a unified, intelligent data management layer, metadata-driven across an organization's entire data ecosystem, not looking to push and rip out things from everywhere, but kind of leveraging things where they are. It needs to be efficient, well-governed, contextually enriched, and able to rapidly deliver on the business's outcomes, and in some cases, enabling AI-accelerated outcomes. And it needs to be trustworthy and traceable and grounded. I'm going to dive into this a bit more. Just to give you a quick view of what the kind of the operating environment that I'm talking inside of, I'm just going to take you a quick run through the platform. Our mature data processing capabilities are effectively a cornerstone. It's foundational. It's distributed, parallel, horizontal, vertical scaling, batch and streaming. It's portable across different platforms, infrastructure, cloud agnostic, cloud native, containerized, all those. And it's very much metadata driven. The core data engineering pipelines are based on data flow programming, graph-based with different levels of abstractions based on different user types. Really extensive and mature metadata management capabilities. It's been doing this for about 15 years around semantic meaning and metadata management. It's incorporating state-of-the-art agentic AI capabilities, has sophisticated orchestration and observability capabilities, and all these together are powering business and mission-critical systems across the globe. So the focus today is on metadata and agentic AI system, or AI agents. And I need to explain a little bit about this idea of metadata, because I spent a while working in the Hive metastore and the lakehouse concept, and so my thinking was very much around the Hive metastore and what that means. And it's taken some time to unlearn a limited definition, but part of my journey here at Ab Initio. As I mentioned, we've been doing this for 15 years, particularly around metadata, and it grew out of our data engineering work and our data processing work and integration work, and needing to be able to track lineage. And then, having been quite successful at that, our customers wanted us to be able to model that sort of lineage and metadata for things that weren't our system and weren't our product and our pipeline. So we started having, ability to ingest and represent lineage from all these other systems. Building on that, it's a natural evolution into business metadata. So that's like metadata about meaning, definitions. It can be policies, ownership, business workflow, organizational structures, and then linking those down into that technical layer. You build on top of that with some access capabilities and some search capabilities, and then you get a data catalog that has search and discovery offerings. You can link indicators about whether data is the quality of it, whether it's trusted, as well as operational metric. And then you can further grow on that to leverage those linkages to then be able to enable people to access this self-service style. And that's where you get these ideas of data products. You can have contracts associated with those consumptions. And then I guess the culmination of all of this is driving automation via metadata. And I'm going to dive into this in a second, but that's talking about policy as code and retention policies, automated masking, DQ pipelines, one-kit pipelines, things of that nature. Super fast run through, just wanted to give you some context of what I'm talking about here. In the context of that idea of a data fabric, I'm mapping the metadata management into this concept of knowledge fabric and our AI capabilities to the AI fabric. So with the knowledge fabric, as I mentioned, metadata is central. And there's a key insight that I wanted to share with you of why this is both not only powerful, but I think is effectively necessary for data management at scale, and then that ties into building AI systems. And as I'm sure we've all consistently experienced, the volume, the diversity, the complexity of our physical data ecosystem, it continues to grow, and it's growing at an accelerating pace. And this makes building and managing pipelines and managing quality and managing change and veracity, as well as the aggregations and transfer controls at that physical level, it eventually becomes infeasible and unviable. We have customers that have on the orders of millions of data elements and hundreds of thousands of data sets. And you can't build pipelines, even through just pattern-based code generation to address that scale, because then once you've done pattern generation, code generation, you then have the issue of change. So you need a way to be able to deterministically and reliably manage data at this scale. And there's a parallel observation, which is that while physical data is increasingly accelerating its growth, the business concepts, the semantic layer, that those business terms that the data represents, is growing at a fundamentally different rate. And this is a key insight that's been behind the strategy of Ab Initio for over a decade. So coming back to the idea of this knowledge fabric, it's providing that linkage between that knowledge and the underlying data, and doing this through governed relationships. I want to take you into a specific example, and I'm building a story here of how this ties into agents, which you'll see in a second. But starting with what does this look like in practice? So let's start with a business term that are relevant to some domain within business, and those definitions, they definitely need to be well governed. That's important. We can take a concept like a customer name, or a location address, or back in my telco time, it was the idea of truck rolls, which is has a specific meaning, but it's an aggregation of concepts of like customer location and field workforce and incidents. But just for this example, think about a very simple one, which is like a customer's first name. Now, that customer first name from a concept can be materialized in many data sets across our ecosystem. There can be, as we move through different approaches towards building pipelines, you can have replications, et cetera. And you need to be able to link that concept to those physical manifestations. So we have a product capability called semantic discovery. It uses heuristic algorithms as well as small and large language models to identify instances of that concept as a data element in the physical layer, and then identifying the duplicate or multiple representations of that concept in that physical layer. And it automatically is proposing these linkages, and that goes through a governance. Once you have this linkage between that semantic layer and the physical layer, and again, you can see that difference of scale as far as we've got single business term, but we can have dozens of representations in the physical layer. Once you have this kind of this linkage in place and pulling around it, it allows a non-technical user who is coming with that business domain knowledge to define rules at that semantic layer. This could be data validation rules, DQ controls, masking functions, and then getting into transformations and aggregations, all at that conceptual layer, and linking those to that term. And once you have that in place, you can then leverage transparent automation and code generation to apply those rules down to the physical layer. So working at this level of abstraction has a massive productivity gain. We can further accelerate this with artificial intelligence augmentation, so helping the user effectively author those rules. And we've also demonstrated the ability to bulk generate these rules, and these go through review and approval. That point about accountability is important. But using language models to effectively, in bulk, convert from unstructured and semi-structured definitions like government policy or subject matter expert specifications into those rules. And when you combine that with comprehensive lineage and metadata harvesting on that technical layer, as I mentioned, it enables this level of data management at a scale that I don't think is otherwise possible. So there we go. So in addition to enabling that scaled data management, it also provides that linkage between meaning and the data that makes the data understandable by people, and interesting also AI system. So I'm going to give you a look into our AI capabilities. Effectively, our AI fabric, it's a multi-agent system powered by our knowledge fabric and our compute fabric. We have intelligent context management. We have this idea of a dynamically assembled library of skills and strategies, growing sets of tools that enable the agents to interact with the users as well as the data, metadata, and the broader ecosystem in the enterprise. I'm going to come kind of rebuild into that. So in a complex environment, if you're asking a language model directly to perform some action or answer some question, you're going to have a low probability of success. And that's because language models need intentional and targeted context. So when a user asks some question like, what is the ultimate source for this data? The word "this" has an implicit meaning that is defined by where the user is in some application. What are they looking at? Similarly, when a user asks some question like, what is the loan default rate for last month? The meaning of that question, so in this case, the words loan and default rate, can be dependent on the user's identity. So the language models need contextual information about that user who's asking the question to be able to interpret what that input is, interpret that intent. And furthermore, these two simple questions are actually two very different types of questions. What is the ultimate source for this data? What is the loan default rate? One is a a metadata query, the other one is a data query. So one's traversing lineage and the other one's about data access. And you need the right tools and process and methodologies given the user, their context, and the intent of their ask to be able to serve that need. And our approach is to effectively have a library of strategies and skills that we're dynamically selecting from based on a bunch of contextual information that inform the agents how to handle that particular user's needs. So, and this has a significant impact on the correctness of their behavior. So, bringing that together with tools and an autonomous, an execution loop, we have the foundations for agent systems. So, let's come back and take this idea of the loan default rate, which is in with some commercial context, and there is some data or metadata that is needed to actually answer that question. We can't simply rely on a language model to probabilistically infer the correct meaning of what they mean by low default rate, nor to be able to discover some obscurely named data element that is actually relevant. I mean, we've all seen these insane, ridiculous names. I'm sure I've created the patterns for these names before, which I not regret, but they have good reasons at the time. But there is this challenge of how do you link those two? And this comes into the idea of applying some of those concepts I was talking before from that metadata management and kind of knowledge fabric layer, where we can apply that governed semantic metadata that gives specific meaning along with our ability to collect and model all of the technical metadata, and then link those two. We now have the ingredients to be able to provide a governed, an informed contact or grounded context to the agent to serve that user's need. And this is an effective way to mitigate hallucinations, and it's a pathway to unlocking the progressively increasing capabilities of AI systems. So I want to show you what this looks like in practice inside of our product. So this is our data marketplace. It's you can come to our booth if you want to kind of dive into some of the other things around this and see what this thing in particular. But our data marketplace is one of our offerings, and I think it's like one of those things that's only really achievable if you have a converged platform that's bringing together, data access, metadata management, and governance, and all those capabilities together to be able to actually represent this. So in this example, we have some data analyst, Alex, and he's interested in creating a new data product. So I want to create a data product containing active customers over 30, where the active customer is defined as blah, blah, blah. So given that user input and the user's context and the metadata that we have accessible to the system, there's a whole bunch of tooling behind this. The assistant is able to identify a relevant strategy for responding to this particular user's question. And then it presents, oh, this is what you need to do. And the user can go say, yep, let's do that. And the agent can actually act on the user's behalf using its available tools. So it's gone and done this for Alex. Now, when it actually did this, it also was suggesting some relevant data sets to drive this data product. What's the kind of starting point for this data product? And built into that is, semantic search capabilities. So this is leveraging, taking that user's intent and doing a search across that semantic information that's been modeled and embedded, et cetera, to be able to get this back and then interpret that and then present some options to this user. And so it's suggested, you can start with account data or payment data and customer data, and our user is going to go ahead and say, let's use the customer data. And so it's picked that as a driving data set and brought in with it all the associated fields. And you'll notice that this is not showing you those kind of D underscore, account ID, et cetera. It's showing you, it's showing this user the name of that field in the language of that business. And additionally, down here, you can see that there's other data sets that are associated with this, that are linkable to this, and whether it's through directly joined keys or through discovered joined keys through that semantic mapping process. And again, it's all presented in a fairly familiar language. Now, the user's or the assistant's response, it's providing some inspectable capabilities here. So one thing is like we have the ability to kind of link in relevant entities from inside the platform. And it's also providing anchored, annotated references to the actions it's taken in the process of responding to this user's need. And each one of those, you click on it and it brings up actually what it ran in the background. We also have built out support for open telemetry in the product, which is a really super cool observability technology and open standard that allows you to do linking, tracing across distributed systems. And we're supporting the Gen AI standard as far as open telemetry as well. So if you want to go all the way down to the individual requests and the payloads and the HT responses, it's all being captured and linked together to the actual thread as well. It's really cool stuff. But what this all allows you to do is provide transparency and reliability and inspectability of both the response and the actions that are being taken. With this particular driving data set, each one of these data elements is associated with this rich metadata information. And so it's bringing along with it information about who owns this data set. Is it PII? There's DQ controls associated with that, part of automated provisioning pipelines. There's data access stuff. So all of this kind of comes along with this. And then the user says, okay, for this to be a useful data product, there needs to be this curation step, this step of selecting. I've got 150 data elements here, but I'm wanting to create a data product that's useful for a particular purpose. And the purpose of this is going to be about analyzing customer behavior. So what fields should I use? Rather than trolling through and figuring it all out, we have a language model that can take advantage of this rich information, inspect it, and use that world knowledge to recommend a set of fields that would be useful for it. And it's better if I kind of started over on this side, but the assistant says, saying, I think out of this set, and it's going, and it's actually has a representation of this picker into its context, and it's saying, I think it's this one, this one, this one, this one. And then the user's like, yeah, that sounds great. And then in the process of that, it then populates and the actual data product specification using the tools that it has available, which now is also linked to our data virtualization, data federation capabilities, so that this is all actually linked to the physical data set. And based, of course, on the user's permissions, you can immediately view that view of this resulting data product. And you then click save, and now you've created this data product. And then there's things you can go into about doing materialization and scheduling, all sort of stuff. You can get into that if you want to go from to work with you. So I think what I hope you've kind of seen here is and I actually have I want to point out that this also comes along with all of the data governance and data access controls and business context and things like that that were attached to the intermediary representations and flow onto this data product. And so that data product now has all of those accessible to it, which I think is really, really incredible. And the result of this, and I have a video here which can play out this whole thing so you can see it happen. This is why I switched to slides, because sometimes you get these fun video things. Try one more time. Here we're going to play. Anyway, if you want to come by, I can show you the video play out. We can show you there. We can actually show you a live demo of it as well. It takes about 2 minutes, that whole process. And I think the question to ask yourself is, how long would that take you to do? And would the results be inspectable? Would it be governed? Would it contain all this information? And this is why I think the idea of a converged data platform is a really powerful idea. And all of that, metadata, technical and business metadata linked together, you can really only enable the agents to start to interact with that if it's all together and interacting and making some intelligent decisions on how you present it. I want to jump into some of the other technology choices we've made as part of our AI system. Some of you may have heard MCP. It's the Model Context Protocol. It's an amazing open standard from Anthropic. It has solved a very important problem of how you connect tools to language model systems or agent systems in a way that doesn't require you to do re-implementation. It's an open standard. And we've jumped on this and have been leveraging it. It's been incredibly useful from a product development perspective, but it's also a capability perspective. So our agent system is using the MCP interface internally. All of our products we built out some initial, and we're expanding the presentation of our product capabilities as MCP tools, which have been aggregated into a single interface. We also then support the ability to integrate third-party enterprise tools using that same interface into the product, again, exposing it to that agent. And then we also allows us to expose the platform as itself as effectively as an MCP interface, which allows you to then interact with it with some other AI tooling, whether it's called Desktop or Fine, which is super cool, or some internal ChatGPT style application. We're also been working on the concept of agents as tools as well, which then allows you to kind of wrap a whole bunch of capabilities in a tool interface. So, giving you a little look of what's coming very soon, what we're actively working on. You have this idea of an assistant and helping you navigate and do data management tasks. A natural evolution of this, and something we think is critically important, we've been building for, is event-driven agent workflows, which are asynchronous and also so there's a whole host of capabilities that's a necessary requirement for. And then you also have this idea of composition, where you can start to think of an agent consuming another agent workflow. So I hope this has given you an insight into our thinking around how we're building this, why metadata is key to making this actually possible, and zooming out a bit, we have our compute fabric. You need that portable, cloud-native, metadata-driven processing capability as an underlying driver, an execution engine. You need your knowledge fabric with extensive and mature metadata management capabilities, and you need an AI componentry, which is using the current state-of-the-art patterns and practices to be able to take advantage of these rapidly evolving models. And then these are all sitting within a larger context of our converged data platform. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk. Thank you all for your time. If you'd like to know more about some of the things I've been talking about, if this is something that's interesting to you, if you're passionate about AI systems, around metadata-driven automation, please come see me after the talk. Happy to answer questions. You can also come and meet us at the booth. We're on the 4th floor, right back there near the stairs. We're Ab Initio. Come and have a chat with us. Thank you all very much.